Welcome to the Accelerated Performance Experiment podcast premiere. Tonight's guest, Jim, the Re-Energizer Ruda. Tonight's topic, Manifesting Desire, as chosen by Daniel Ani, one of our Seeds of Excellence newsletter subscribers.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our program. Very fortunate today that I have a very special friend, a very special guest, a gentleman that has helped people for the last 25, 30 years that I have known him. And I'm just grateful that he took the time to kind of invest a little time with us today and share some great ideas when we talk about the manifestation of desires. His name is Jim Ruda. Hiya, Jim.
Hello, John. Good to be with you.
Hey, it's great to have you here, Jim. And on a special little title that we have today in Manifesting Our Desires, with all the years that you have invested in the insurance field, in the financial industry, I see you from time to time on Morning Business in Toronto. You and I have traveled together to Singapore where we actually put on some programs. And the one thing that I always keep in mind when it comes to Jim Ruda is a very valuable lesson that he shared with me many years ago when it comes to breaking down the walls to get to where you want to go. Why is it that the same walls hold back some people, and yet some people will either go over the wall, under the wall, or they go through the wall? In your experience, Jim, with managing and working with great agents throughout the years, 25, 30 years, both as a teacher, an instructor, trainer, speaker, as well as a general manager with one of Canada's leading insurance companies. Jim, how do we get an individual to manifest their desires, just like so many of the great agents have?
It's a great question, John, and I think the most interesting part of that is a lot of the best people I've ever worked with see that the greatest opportunities in their life are really masquerading as obstacles or walls, as you put that. You know, the obstacles that you get create this opportunity for you to just see how good you can be and to challenge yourself to see what you can accomplish. I love the idea of this whole concept of manifesting desires, because sometimes people think, and I think you've said this before, sometimes people think, well, I've got the desire, it should just come to me, shouldn't it? Shouldn't I just be attracting it? And there are publications that talk like this. But what I believe is this, that the word manifest, what it really means is make happen. And the great advisors that I've worked with over the years, all across North America and even some, as you say, in Southeast Asia, are always those who look at the obstacles that present themselves to everybody and say, what's the opportunity for me?
That's interesting, because when you think about desire, I kind of think that that's a given. I believe in the studies that I have done, and I don't want to get too far outside the box here, that desire, when you think about it, is kind of like the language of spirit knocking on the person's door of consciousness, seeking to become more and more over and above what we've already become. How we actually define that desire are things like goals, like vision, those things that we want to achieve in our own life. The difference is, are we focused on creating that desire by implementing some of the activity and actions, or are we focused on the condition and circumstances? Or like you said, some people look at that wall as the obstacle, some look at it as an opportunity. So that's a great idea. Remember years ago, Jim, you had somebody from the National Hockey League, as well as golfers. You had a great agency of people. In fact, still have a kind of like I guess you could say, a reputation of keeping everybody that you hired in that particular agency. But this one guy, I remember saying to you, I'd like to train him to be a good salesperson. You said, please don't do that. He's doing too well. And I'll never forget that. Tell me a little bit about that, Jim, because there's a guy who was manifesting his desires and hadn't the foggiest notion of what sales was really all about. It's what he was doing. Share that.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, and of course, He was action oriented. For him, it was all about action. As a professional athlete, he was one of these guys that believes in this old strategy, that an amateur practices until he gets it right, but a professional practices until he can't get it wrong. And Gary was one of these guys that really sort of, the default was always do something. And action alleviated the anxiety he had about doing other things. And there was a guy who just worked, manifesting his desires. And there's a guy who made the $1 million round table in his first year in the business. And every year he was in the business until he retired, frankly. And there's a guy who really could take action. And I think that's what we all have to remember. It's not good enough just to have the desire and then hope that things happen. You have to make them happen. I have this one strategy that I always pass off to advisors when I deal with them. I said, look, I don't know what else you do. And indeed, there are lots of many different strategies that you can take to get things done. But I say, what if you just did one thing every day, just one thing to attract a new client to your organization, to your business? What if you just did one thing? And frankly, I hardly care much what it is, because it doesn't really matter as long as you're taking action. And if you could do one thing every day over the course of a year, you'd have done 200 things to attract a new client every day. You will trip over new business if you do that. Here's the one kicker, though, John. I think it's really important you remember this. There's no carry forward on excess activity, and there's no catch up on deficit activities either. So if I did 10 today, I got to do 1 tomorrow. If I do none today and none last week and none the week after, and I start in 3 weeks, still only have to do 1. Anybody can do 1. That's why action can happen for anyone, and you can change the results in your life, bam, just like that, just by today taking some action.
I like that, Jim. Yesterday, I was talking a great deal about just a simple little basic sentence that I had sent out to a group of people that I work with pretty well every day. And it went something like this, is that there are those who kind of are upset that they're not getting the result, versus those who immediately focus on whether they're doing the work to get the result. In other words, don't get upset that you don't have a result. Get upset if you're not taking a look at, am I doing the things that I need to do? Like, for example, the years that I kind of invested in the insurance business myself, which was a great lesson for me, I learned from a great mentor who said, every single day be in front of a prospect at 9 a.m. We referred to it as the 9 a.m. call, and pretty well shared that around the world for years and years. And it actually works, just as you said. Focus on that one thing, like make the call, make a good call on a good prospect with a good attitude. Watch how the reaction from the world around you begins to change. Jim, I really enjoyed this. Can you share maybe just a closing comment with us?
Well, look, John, I'm delighted to be with you here. And of course, I've learned most of what I know about this business from you and through you and with you over the years. And I think that the people who are watching this need to remember that, the simple things in this business are still often the most very powerful of all the ideas. And this simple idea of saying manifesting, making things happen, is something anybody can do, but they have to choose to do that. If you choose to do that, you too can exceed your wildest expectations with your performance.
Hey, thanks for that, Jim. And you remember the old formula, KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, salesperson? I like that, and we should stick with that. Thank you, Jim. Look forward to seeing you on May 22nd at Canada Sales Congress. Thank you.
God bless.
This has been the Accelerated Performance Experiment Podcast Premiere with Jim the Re-Energizer Ruda. Find out more about Jim at jimruda.com. Please visit johnkanary.com for more information on our exciting new initiatives, accelerating your results, unlocking your potential, and discovering your authentic self. Sign up for our Seeds of Excellence newsletter for tips and tools on becoming healthier, wealthier, and happier. Register for our absolutely free online cloud class at johnkanary.com/cloud. John will be presenting a program entitled The Power of Potential and Effective Action Planning, scheduled for May 22nd, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Accelerated Performance Experiment's next podcast on Monday, May 20th, will see special guest Mr. Bob Proctor. That's right, John Kanary and Bob Proctor are born rich again, discussing a topic as chosen by our Seeds of Excellence newsletter subscribers. Thanks for tuning in.